Welcome to The Eyes of Indigo with your infinitely curious hosts, Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Our show is broadcast live at 9:30 p.m. Wednesdays. Socio-spiritual topics are laced with humor as we discuss weird stuff in a rational way. Learn more about us in our first episode, The Prequel. Shows are recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and other aggregators. A keyword searchable index is at iriscarter.com/EOI directory. Share ideas and comments in the program chat or by email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our show. Let us know you're here by typing your hello in the comments because we are thrilled to welcome you as we begin another adventure right now.
Hello. We're back.
Hello. Yay. I'm curious on the intro. You get sound when it plays, right?
And you're still not.
I'm still not hearing it.
That happened to me for a while, but I don't know what I did to make it give me the sound back. I don't know why.
I mean, I can hear barely. It's like peacock, happy peacocks way in the distance, or turkeys.
Yeah. In fact, I need to redo them because they're, they got the old copyright on them, but
yeah, there's some typos in there that I would like to fix as well that we never quite got around to. But if our listeners, hello, our viewers, hi. Please let us know
while we evaluate our opening.
Yes, exactly. If you could, please, in the comments, if you saw our intro rolling just now, let us know if you heard the words and music track that was also playing or not, or if you only saw a picture or whatever, or was it black or was it blue? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just because if you go back and watch the videos, it's there.
It might be just the way
it's just one of those freaky
my
things
system is set up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know why.
Tonight's show, we have a really great show for you. Iris, roll that beautiful bean footage.
We have got tonight, we're going to talk about mental health. And, we hear about healing methods, all the time. People have sore bodies or illness or something like that. We hear about the physical healings and applications, but we don't hear a lot about it being energy work being applied to mental health issues. And so I want to talk a little bit about it. Is it ethical? What about medications, therapy, counseling? And can energy work even begin to touch complicated brain issues? So we're going to discuss it and talk about some of these questions and more. And we've got Heidi. Hello. Awesome. Yes, you can hear and see. Oh, yay. Thank you, Heidi. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent feedback.
Yeah. So, when, and I think I should precede this entire discussion with, we never, ever want to replace the advice of a physician, of an actual medical doctor, because we're not about to interfere with medical treatment. That's up to you.
Licensed professionals.
Yes.
Licensed healthcare providers. We are not trying to contradict any of them. And Iris and I are not licensed healthcare professionals. We are simply voicing our opinions based on our experiences and research. Yeah. And that is all. Yeah.
And so we're just, and I think it can take a healthy mix of both healing and holistic modalities with practical medicine that or the traditional medicine, but then sometimes traditional medicine fucks up. It's funny because we have, where I work, we do like a prequel, or it's a required prerequisite for all of our, or the majority of our short certification medical classes, like phlebotomy, being a phlebotomy technician or a dialysis technician, or things like that take you just a few months to get certified. We do a short course. Me and my supervisor, we teach to make sure that people know how to use their email, that they know how to use the online teaching program and different things like that, because students often have trouble getting in their email the first time they sign in, or they don't know how to use that program, and it just takes up so much time from the class time. So we have this prerequisite that we teach. But one of the things we talk about was we present. There's a video on all these online classes that is presented, and it's about plagiarism and how people shouldn't plagiarize and copy, and they should do their own work and that kind of thing. We watched the video with the students, and there's a little test in there, and we show them how to do it, and they take the real test when they take their real class. But one of the things I tell them is, what you're doing is important, and you need to know how to do it so you don't hurt people. If you don't understand something in your class, get help, but don't cheat. And I said, how would you like to go to a doctor that cheated his way through medical school? And everybody goes, and I said, yeah. And
That's
why
you
do we
now.
And I said,
Yeah.
why do we know that they didn't cheat their way through medical school? We depend on the school's reputation. And I said, as soon as somebody cheats in here, they're going to blab to somebody that they cheated. And I said, this is a small county. Word will spread like wildfire. And the next thing you know, nobody's going to want to work with RCC students. So you should care about other people cheating, and you should care about not cheating yourself, because you want to do your job right. And that's kind of that's my nutshell. I mean, I go into it a little bit more. But there's also the old joke about, what do you call somebody who graduates last in their class in medical school? Doctor. So just because somebody's a doctor doesn't mean,
Does not mean that they were the best at what they studied or do. Yeah.
So so when I've learned, when I go, I grew up in an era where my parents and my grandparents considered doctors as gods. It was like, oh, they know what they're talking about. No, they don't. Some of them are jackasses, and proved it to them. And mom and dad quickly learned, yeah, that's right. You need to question, if they're not telling you the right things, you question it. So, like I said, we don't want to replace the advice of sound licensed medical advice, but it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to point things out, and it's okay to consider
To educate yourself.
Yeah.
There's more than one way to do everything.
Exactly.
Find out what that is, then make choices. Yeah.
Right. And so one of the things I've talked about, I've studied theta healing, and one of the classes I took in theta healing was disease and disorder. And there's like almost every disease and disorder in here, and they talk about, and the reason, how theta healing works is, the practitioner gets into a theta brainwave, which is almost like a sleepy state, that state just before sleep, but you can do it in just a matter of seconds. And we're able to do body scans of people. And hello, Allison, how are you? And she's got that pretty wolf.
Pretty puppy.
Yeah, pretty puppy.
Dog, pretty canine.
Yeah. Anyway, able to do body scans and look at dig around to find out what people's beliefs are. Hello, Ruthie. Hope you're doing well. And be able to do intuitive readings to get where people's ailments are coming from. And a lot of time they're based in belief systems, or it can be from your ancestors, or it can be from things that you learned growing up. It can be in your own personal. It's a white wolf, and I'm good. Thank you. Great. Thank you for answering that. Yeah, it's beautiful. And by working on those beliefs and changing your subconscious beliefs, you can actually change your health. And there's a lot of cancer. I would say 99% of cancer, it actually comes from anger, regrets, resentments, things like that have just kicked up the volume and attacked some part of your body. Yeah. And so like I said, we think about the things that people can do with their in bodily healing, but what about the mental health? You think about people being way out there, when they're mentally ill and that sort of thing. And I had somebody approach me recently and was just asking me some questions, and I started getting a reading on her. And I said, let me share this with you. Let me tell you some things. Here's some things, I can't tell you. And they admitted to me that they were bipolar, and she was having a manic issue, and said, I don't know why this is happening now, but it's kicked in, and I'm trying to get new medication and all this stuff. And I said, I said there's some belief work that needs to be done here. And luckily she already knew how to meditate and get downloads and things like that. Okay, she says, but when they say cancer is hereditary, why does it happen then? It means that you have a predisposition, but it also means you're carrying genetic things that have happened in the past. They have proven
ancestral baggage that's not necessarily genetic material, but it's energetic information that you're bringing from generation to generation, and you agreed to take it into your generation or yourself, is another way to say it.
And there was just a few years ago, I saw an article where science had proven that impactful, stressful trauma can change your genes, and then you're passing it on to your kids. And so if you can physically change your genes by having a bad experience, why can't you physically change your genes to go back to normal, or to what is a healthy state?
Yes. Also, many research done on adopted people that have no genetic connection to their adopted family. They get the exact same hereditary diseases that their adopted family has. Also, pets, cats and dogs, if it's a disease that a cat or a dog can have, such as cancer, when the owner's parents, fur parents, when the owners get the disease, the animal does too. That's a whole nother species. There's no way. All right. So yeah, it's actually commonplace for adopted people to get all the hereditary problems that their adopted family already carried.
Well, and how many times
nature versus nurture is now what we're talking about. Is there how much of nature actually holds up under scrutiny? Yeah.
And there's constantly over the years have been examples of men and women who have been married, and by the time they've been married for a long time, they start looking alike. And, or maybe they didn't when they started out, but then it's like, my God, they look like clones of each other. And,
in my drum circle I had Monday night.
uh-huh.
There was a man. Did I freeze again? Am I good?
Now you're okay. Go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a man and a woman that come together all the time. And I was looking at them Monday night and I went, they have got to be brother and sister. Guys, keep in mind, I'm a professional photographer of portraits and faces. I've done more than 70,000 photos of human faces. I know about proportion and identifying marks and family continuity, bone structures, affectations, dimples. They were exactly alike. Introductions went around the circle for the first time in like 6 months, so I didn't know exactly. And this is my wife, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and they were white-haired, little wrinkly guys. They looked like they were in their 70s. Both had the exact same eyeglasses on. They had been together for so freaking long. I asked them, how long you been together? And they were like, oh, I don't know. We cleared 50 a while back. I'm like, okay.
Well, and
that's
people
why you guys look alike.
End up looking a lot alike too.
Wait, people win?
People and pets.
Yes. People slowly morph their pet into looking like them and acting like them. So energetically, that's true. Our pets do train us.
Yes.
But yeah. Maladies, disorders, disease, challenges and issues, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, our animals pick them up. Our non-genetic loved ones pick
and we
it
did
up
a
too.
show too talking about how animals.
Well, you're talking about changing the energy.
Yeah.
Which ultimately changes the DNA structure, as you mentioned in your earlier comment. You change the energy. Well, the next level is changing the physical. Physical, energetic, cosmic. There's more layers than 3, but generally that's the sequence. Yeah.
And you also want to remember the pets that we adopt love us and want to serve us and want to take away our pain and take away whatever's disrupting or dis-easing our body. And they will absorb that energy. And then if they don't know how to release it, they end up getting sick themselves as well, which is, and that's why it's important to remind your animals not to carry your shit around.
Let them get it out. Let them run those 50 zoom laps around the yard. Have a good long sleep. Give them a good long belly rub every single day. All those good releasing ways for your fuzzy babies. And actually, that's a good idea for humans too. Do those zoom laps mentally or physically. Have somebody rub your belly or rub your own belly.
Yeah. Your neighbor.
Yeah, growl at your neighbor. Steal their newspaper. Chew it up. I'm kidding. So
one of the things I looked up too that often gets ignored in traditional practices is that, like, depression. There's a lot of people, it seems like depression runs rampant now. And
can we say 2020?
Yeah, really. But even before that, you could see an increase. Now, and this is where, like, I've got a history of depression, but my dad had it, my grandmother had it. And it's like, so here we go with the family baggage that's being carried. And yes, I should clean all that out and do all that stuff. But what I remember my doctor explaining to me that I just wasn't creating endorphins anymore. And I had a series of serious things happen that just brought me down. And she said, let's just try this. And she said, and Allison, that she's been suffering from that lately. Yeah. And she said, if you're not creating the endorphins, she said, we can put you on medication and see if that'll help. And it did. I was fortunate. I mean, she gave me one. It was like, no, I can't. It's like a bad caffeine. And then the second drug worked better. And and I said, but am I going to be on this indefinitely? And she said, we can try to wean you off of it as you get help for this. She said, but also recognize it's kind of like diabetes. If you had to have insulin all the time to help with diabetes, you wouldn't think anything about it, would you? And I said, well, no, I wouldn't. So yeah, it didn't really bother me, but I was looking at other physical causes for depression. And a lot of it comes from our lifestyles. Heavy metals that we find in our bodies are a big cause. Yep. The amalgam for your fillings, the aluminum and iron and other things that can be found in our diet.
Cookware, aluminum foil, aluminum silverware that you eat off of, on and on and on.
Yeah. So it's important to look at the metals that are in your body and see what that happens. Let's see. In the 90s, my friend Barima from Burkina Faso introduced me to Dr. from some
Malidoma Somé from the Dagara tribe. They believe that mental illness is the soul having a spiritual calling from ancestors. If you don't mind, I wanted to address that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm familiar with Malidoma Somé, and I got to be really good friends with one of his initiates. Let's just call it that. What you're pointing at is rather than Somé himself, Dr. Somé himself, your comment points at people having mental illness from an outside influence that is, shall we say, characterized as metaphysical. And yeah, he talks a lot about what shamans see in mental hospitals, and they see other entities coming into the space, all right, that are loosely what we might call, Iris, what we might call spirits or evil spirits or malevolent energies.
It's a playground for negativity.
For negativity, yes. Guys, look up the word loosh, 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 and that's basically cocaine crack. It's food, cocaine, and crack for negative energies. It's sustenance for them, and it can get them high when they get a whole bunch of it that's very strong. By the way, my experience when shamanic people put off negative energy, it's more valuable than when somebody who's chronically depressed. However, somebody who's chronically depressed, you can get a little bit of loosh off of them all day, every day, just by instigating them a little bit. What am I referring to? I am referring to the practice and understandings that say that malevolent energies goad, provoke, and influence humans to suffer. Because then the humans put off sadness, anger, fear, jealousy, anxiety, all those things, depression, put off those energies. And when humans put off those energies are actually the loosh, Loosh. That's actually sustenance for the negative entity. So of course they're going to provoke you to do it and keep doing it, so that they can benefit from you and feed off of you that way. Battlefields are a freaking smorgasbord buffet. They love wartime battlefields. They love it that Earth stays in wartime most of the time. Once they find somebody or a family that is susceptible to depression or anger issues or chronic illness, those low, slow illnesses that keep you upset and sad for years and years and years. They love following, going the wrong way here. They love following those families for the sustenance that they get off of them, and they provoke it and the thought is they set it up for you to have those experiences on and on. So much so that there are a lot of indigenous tribes that attribute mental illness to evil spirits. Let's just generically call it that. We're calling them negative energies or malevolent energies, but Native Americans have that belief system. Aborigine have that belief system. Somé comes from the African. Him and his family come from the African tradition. They have that. Katomble, which isn't always bad guys, but they're very impish. All tie into the belief system that something outside of you can provoke you energetically until it gets down to your physical and you manifest illness and negativity and mental health issues.
So now, I would like to add too that while that is correct and possible on different levels, it's not the only thing. And I think sometimes there's lots of different kinds of mental illness, and it that would be like saying, like back in at the late 1800s, if somebody had an epileptic, or even 15, 16, 1700s, people had a seizure, they go, oh, they're possessed. No, they had something going on in the brain, and now we know it was epilepsy. Not everything is the devil or the
evil spirits,
evil spirits and things like that. And I think, you got to be careful.
Yes, the world is full of huge variety. There is rarely one of anything. There's always multiple causes, multiple sources, multiple solutions, which is a part of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Would you like for me to expound a little bit? I mean, there are people that's their field, is exorcism and casting out demons, or setting up protection and angelic protection and bubbles. I mean, there's tons of, I can throw out terminology left and right. There's a whole field of that. And that actually would be a whole nother show. And honestly, I think we've already touched on that.
Probably. Yeah, we have a few times.
For this show, we're talking about energy medicine, energy practices, energy healing that affects mental health. Actually, we're talking about theta and how, see if I summarize you correctly, and please, I'd love it if you'd expound on anything I miss. You're talking about how theta practitioner shifts into a higher vibrational awareness, typically called a theta wave. And from there, they can help the client reset, release, reprogram, understand whatever they need, the belief system that is reinforcing that mental health issue in that particular case. Did I skip something that needs expounding on? Because that sounds complex.
Yeah, and it can be. And I think, again, with theta, we're taught an extensive amount of how to do this. But I think there can be some benefit even on a superficial level, even if somebody doesn't go through the whole theta process. Like, for example, I know a lot of energy workers that, you know how to meditate, and you know what a download is. And to explain that, for theta healing, we believe in going to what is called the seventh plane, which is the highest level of being, where all that is. It can be creator, it can be God, whatever your name for that is. And from there, we make the connection and ask for the information that we need about a person or to help a person. And a lot of energy practitioners will use spirit guides and use angels or use whatever, and we still do have that access. But if you just go straight to that spirit guide or straight to that angel, you're not getting the highest form of communication. Where if you go through creator and go, who do I need to work with to help this happen? And then you're connected with an angel, or then you're connected with a spirit guide, then you're getting a more true perspective, and you're dodging the middleman. You're going straight to the top, and the top is asking the middleman to help you instead of you having to negotiate. And there's a theory that when you work with middlemen, that there's some sort of exchange, there's an energy exchange expected or something like that, and you get caught up in that, and you might not get the divine truth, I guess, is one way to look at it.
You're talking about, well, filters. All beings
Yeah.
have filters on their experience, right?
Right.
So you're talking about authenticity there. Absolutely.
Right. And so, and when you get downloads, you want to get what it is you're getting information straight from Creator. That information a lot of times is more of a reminder of what your soul already knows. Because we have access to the all that is, we have access to all this information, but because we live in 3D, it gets distorted, it gets changed, our beliefs get in the way, and those kinds of things. So a lot of times in theta healing, we can do belief work with somebody and find out that they have a contradictory belief. Even things as simple as the definition of a word. Like early on in some of my belief work when I was in classes was getting the definition of joy, and not just any definition of joy, but Creator's definition of joy. Because what my body in this time thinks joy is may not be the same as the definition from creation. And so then when you go, God, I just want to have joy in my life, and you're getting it, but you don't know you're getting it because you're not in alignment. And so you ask for, okay, give me the download of joy. And what does it, and that my definition means the same as Creator's definition, and that I have the understanding what it feels like to feel joy, to have Creator's discernment on joy and understanding and all this stuff. And you get all that information, and then it's like, you might not literally know, like, it's not like Webster's dictionary, boom, in your head, and that's what joy is. But it's a feeling that you get, that you go, oh, I recognize it now, and I see the difference, and I feel the difference, and it's different.
You've done that with me, and I concur. Yes, that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, I forgot I'd done it with you. Yeah, and so we do that with simple vocabulary, just again to make sure.
Before you go on, an important text has come through. Please check your texting before we jump into the other screen stuff. And let me talk about something else. Please check your text.
Oh.
And on your cell phone.
Gotcha.
And some important information came through there. But what I wanted to talk about while she has a chance to address that, check that out. Sorry, guys, for the small interruption. The practice of Reiki. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I have been since 2003. I'm in my 21st year of being a Reiki teacher. So in the practice of Reiki, there's a Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki 3. In the practice of Usui Reiki, there's more than one type of Reiki. We teach 4 levels. At Reiki 1, Reiki 2. At the Reiki 2 level, we go ahead and we teach the first 3 out of 6 known original, so to speak, Reiki symbols. And the first symbol we teach you is an amplifying, blessing, clearing symbol that blesses everything, clears everything. It's wonderful. It's very popular. It's the 7 with a swirl, very popular. And the second symbol is called the mental emotional symbol. It is specifically designed for mental health. It addresses psychological problems, emotional problems. And when you use it classically, you draw it over the heart and over the crown and over the 6th chakra. So 7th chakra, 6th chakra, heart chakra, third eye chakra, crown chakra. And the intention is to address all places of origin in a human body, with where mental and emotional problems can come from. Even more specifically, this, and if you want to know the name of the symbol, it's now kosher to say it. It's called the say hey key. And if you have a southern accent, it's easier to say. But it's a say hey, as in hey, say hey key. And the practice of using a say hey key can actually, even at the Reiki 2 level, you don't even have to be a master to do this. We're encouraged to show our students how to use it to overcome two key aspects of mental health. One of them is addiction recovery. Okay, Seiheki actually helps rewrite the energetic programming of addiction, undoes it, rewrite it the way that that particular person wants to. There's more details, yada yada. That's more talking about just Reiki, but to remain specific, the Seiheki is first of all designed to address addiction issues, smoking, alcohol, work, sex, whatever you're obsessed with, addiction-wise, chemicals, drugs. And the second thing that Seiheki works on, and that Reiki works on, using the Seiheki specifically, is the words they use is implant positive affirmations, mentally, emotionally, and start basically rewriting the negative conversation that goes on inside of the minds of people who are suffering, from mental health issues. The things that they suggest, just to be a little more clear, are things like, I am a happy, healthy, whole person. I have joy and perfect health. I am loved, loving, and lovable. And gosh darn it, people like me. If you guys remember, was it Stuart Smiley from Saturday Night Live? Yeah, for sure. But Seiheki implants positive affirmations, positive thoughts and feelings about themselves. To give you a little bit of background behind that, if you've ever enjoyed reading the book by Don Miguel Ruiz called The 4 Agreements, the little judge in your head, the one that tells you, that bad things about yourself, or judges you, or makes you feel guilty, or whatever interpretation you want, you have to rewrite that little judge. You have to overcome that little judge. You have to find a way to not buy into that part of your psyche. Seiheki does that. Seiheki is a tool to help people do that who want that. So I thought I was like, ooh, this is definitely a big part of the show. There are other symbols and techniques in the practice of Reiki that address mental health, but that is a predominant one that anybody can access easily. Yeah.
In going through data, we were talking about downloads and things like that. Now again, there's a lot of physical reasons, and like there's chemical imbalances, like with manic depression. It can be, your serotonin levels are off or something like that, which is your happy cells, and they're not being produced like they should be, or they're being overproduced. People who get manic can be overly energetic. They make rash decisions, misspend money. They love going shopping sprees and things like that. And they just think everything's fine and I can do whatever I want and I'm going to be just fine. And then when they start coming down from that, it's like, what the hell have I done? Okay. And then you go down to the depression part. So, so one thing with all the physical, spiritual type healing, which sounds like it's contradictory, but it's not. But where people do work to heal people physically, that's what I'm looking for. There's things that you can do to balance the body and that sort of thing. Sometimes it's reminding the body or reminding yourself, because like I said, you have a lot of knowledge when you're on the other side. But when you come into this life, we don't bring it all with us and we forget. And some of that is reminding yourself that you know how to handle the medications that you're being given and that your body knows how to process them in the way that's going to do it the best, or that your body knows how to create the chemically balanced and create the chemicals that are needed when they're needed, as they're needed. So there's lots of those types of reminders and downloads that you can get. And I wanted to give some examples of some of them. Some of them are very simple, like I know how to stay in a balanced mood.
Ooh,
I
that's
know what it feels like
excellent.
to have good judgment. I mean, some of them you're kind of going, really?
That's brilliant.
What if-
I know I have good judgment. Yeah.
Yeah, what if somebody, when you were a kid, said you just have terrible judgment, and then you
don't know what you're talking about.
you
It's a colloquial way of
you
hearing that.
consume that, and it becomes part of your subconscious, and so you no longer believe that you have good judgment, and then you get manic, and all of a sudden, well, I don't know how to make good judgment because they told me I don't know how to make good judgment, and you actually believe that. So if you get the download or it's better to pull the old beliefs, find out what those are, and replace them with these beliefs.
Healthy ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there is a process to it, but sometimes it's just remembering certain things. I live without feeling empty. I live without feeling sad. I know what it feels like to take medications in a persistent and easy way. I know what it feels like to live having good judgment with the money I spend. I have control of my moods. I have control of my feelings. I have control of my life. Those kinds of things. I know how to listen to others. I know what it feels like to know there is always hope. Some people need that. Anyway, that gives
I
me
love
goosebumps.
that. I know what it feels like to know that there is always hope. There is always a solution. There is always at least 7 solutions to any problem. That doesn't mean you're going to be aware of all 7, but there are at least 7. At least.
But what if you were aware?
And if you are aware, you suddenly will. If you understand,
I know how to recognize
all
solutions. I know how to recognize all 7 solutions and have discernment on which ones to use through the creator of all it is.
Noiseless bell. I have. Let's see. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
My bell has, as I do so many rituals and celebrations around here. It's in a party bag somewhere downstairs with some drums and some rattles and some sage. Thank you. Yeah. The silent bell.
For depression, some of the downloads include things like, I know what it feels like to help others, because sometimes you feel helpless. So what if you knew how to help?
Takes you right out of helplessness. Yeah.
Here's the one I was talking about earlier. I know the creator's definition of joy. That's in one of these. I didn't even realize it was there. I know how to create wonderful thoughts. I know how to live without donating large. Yeah, I know how to.
I just want to say it again. Go ahead.
I know how to live without donating large parts of my days to depression. Why would you donate to depression anyway? But you are. It's like letting people live rent-free in your head.
I know how to live without donating my time to depression. That's awesome.
I know what it feels like to live without the poor me attitude.
Victim mentality is a sucking swampland of perpetual shitness. Is that a word? Shitness. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Who wrote these brilliant insights, or are they a collective?
It's Vienna. And she got them through Creator. I mean, all these books and stuff she wrote, she downloaded. I know what foods are best for me. I know it's safe to be awake and alive. I know it's safe to be intuitive. How many of us have been told through the years that, oh, that's hot poppycock, or that's not safe, you're going to bring in the devil?
You're conjuring the devil. People are going to think you're crazy. Don't say that kind of stuff. You're going to scare people. People won't like you. I heard all that shit, and it shut me down from about age 8 till about age 21, 22. I kept it to myself. I kept doing it, but I just kept it to myself. Yeah.
Here's a couple that are related to what we were just talking about. Every day, in every way, I find solutions. Every day, in every way, I see the possibilities in life. I like those.
Heidi,
and then
do you
Heidi
love new
Marie
swear words
says,
too? I love new swear words.
my new word,
Shitness.
shitness.
New words. What's this shitness about? I like alternative swear words that are juicy and substantial. Somebody taught me a good one that you guys might like. Mother Butler. It has oomph to it without actually offending anybody.
Here's several that I love.
Yes.
I know the Creator's definition of cherishing myself.
Oh,
I know
that's
it's
beautiful.
possible to cherish myself. I know what it feels like to cherish myself. I know what it feels like to live without the whole world resting on my shoulders.
We have a mutual friend that needs to hear that one. Again.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the difference between clinical depression and heavy metal poisoning.
I know you've expounded on that a little bit more. Can you say that one more time? That one really goes ding, ding, ding.
I know the difference between clinical depression and heavy metal poisoning. The
That's
heavy metal.
Fascinating one.
Okay, so
I don't know
heavy.
why, but something about that has some real.
If a person is depressed, a good mineral and vitamin supplement may be needed. If a person has been inundated with heavy metal poisons, they need to be on a good mineral supplement to pull the heavy metals out of their body. Mercury is one of the most toxic. It can make a person very depressed. I was trying to see. I thought it might be in another place where I saw all the metals, but I'm not seeing it right now. But anyway, so y'all get kind of the idea on, some of the downloads and stuff. And sometimes when I'm reading for people, I can use my intuition and recognize which words they need definitions of, and recognize, those are just some examples, but you do it based on what the person needs.
Absolutely. Heidi asked a question about Reiki. She says, do you explain those imprints to them, meaning clients, when a client comes? Do you explain those imprints? That's a good word for it, imprints, to them so that they can choose to get it or not? Yes. When in the practice of using, say, Heikis in the Reiki practice, you brainstorm with the client for a couple of minutes what kind of positive affirmations they want you to bring them. It also requires, when you're using the Seiheki, to have a level of your own, as a practitioner, to have a level of mental self-control so that your brain doesn't accidentally, in your own negativity or your own insecurity, say like, am I doing this right? Is it too much? Or did I offend someone yesterday when I said bye-bye and your brain's wandered off? We reinforce, stay focused, stay here, stay positive, believe what you're saying to the client so that you don't accidentally interrupt the process of them getting all positive information. I am fine. I am perfect. I understand. I have yada, 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 yada. But yes, you let them in on it. You can implant positive affirmations without telling somebody. You can. That gets into an ethical discussion, which is fascinating. And I think we've talked about that in the past too, the ethics of energy practices and so on. We have a past episode on a lot of related cool stuff. Please feel free to go to iriscarter.com/EOI directory and you can click around and search by topic and find all the ones that are related to that. Yeah, there's over like 160 up there at the moment.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
gotta, I'm behind. I gotta go get in there
Like
now.
you have time. All right. When you do have time, no worries.
Yeah,
Heidi says
and
always be a hollow bone during treatments. Yes. Minimum
Yeah.
filters, let it flow on through. Absolutely.
and you know, you were talking about like you can imprint people. Yeah, we can suggest downloads and things like that to people. Send it to their higher selves, that sort of thing. But the thing is, if they're not open to it, if their self-conscious is going to protect them, they can block it, so it doesn't do as much good for them unless you can get them to agree. So
Yeah, because in the practice of Reiki, we follow the same belief system, and I think Heidi was just commenting on that too. The ethics of it.
yeah,
Almost all techniques are not going to work for an energetic person / soul who does not want the intervention, the support, the help, the energy, or whatever you want to call it. If they're rejecting it, it doesn't work for them, or it gets delayed until they do want it. Yeah.
and a lot of times I've found people that they actually want to stay sick. If they get better, it means nobody's going to take care of them anymore.
Nobody's going to pay attention to them. What will I talk about?
Or at least that's what they believe. It's not
Correct.
that that's what it will be, but they believe, and they have trouble recognizing the attention that they were getting when they were healthy. And they find that they're being sick. Oh, suddenly people are helping me clean the house, and my family pays attention to me now, and they're listening to me. And, you know, and then you go and you offer to do work to help them heal. And they're kind of like, well, of course I want to get better, but they really don't, because they've gotten ingrained with that belief that that's the only way they can get attention. So then you got to go in and pull that belief and help them recognize that they do get attention, and that they have, or that they're worthy of the attention because they've been
Worthiness
sabotaging their
issues.
earlier attention. Yeah. So
Worthiness issues are
it really
pervasive
gets
in that.
complicated. Yeah.
It can seem to get very complicated. The whole victimhood mentality, and another avenue or layer to put on, to attach to what you're saying here. Another benefit, that perceived benefit, let's call it that, of victimhood and victim mentality that I've noticed is some victims find a lot of personal power in victim mentality under the flag of the world owes me. I deserve, so all of y'all, all of that owes me 1 or owes me 12 or whatever they think they're owed, which gives them the right to demand or expect stuff, which is a position of power. When you're in the position to demand or expect something,
Entitlement.
that's a position of power. Entitlement. Yeah, which is a false sense of power. Entitlement is a false sense of power, by my definition. So, yeah, victimhood sometimes puts the person in that role. And that is another aspect of victimhood that they are blindly chasing. Yeah.
So
Women who don't want to heal because it gives them guilt-free downtime. Yeah, they can go. Yeah, you can go to your house, go to your bedroom, close the door, and enjoy your downtime. I've heard of that too. Oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, so we just wanted to kind of introduce you to some of those thoughts and alternatives and additions to mental health issues, because it's not all about physical, because sometimes the mental, while it can be complicated, it can also be very refreshing to find other ways
To
that
simplify it.
yeah. So I want to show folks, because we're coming to the end, but we want to make sure Heal the Healer weekend is coming in just a little over a month. about 6 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
And registration is open. Details are at iriscarter.com/HTH Summit, which is Heal the Healer Summit. It's March 21st through the 24th. The cost includes 4 nights, 3 days, meals, lodging, and a
All
series.
meals, all lodging. Yeah.
Yeah. All
19
lodging, all meals.
activity. Yeah, 9 activities and events.
But by 4 different people. So if you think about how much it would
Speakers.
cost if you just had one day with somebody, and you look at what all this costs with 4 people, and also being on a reserve area on Emerald Isle at the North Carolina beach.
A nature conservancy that is over 100 years old. It was started by Theodore Roosevelt's son back at the turn of the century of 1900s. So yes, it's gorgeous in there. The maritime trees, they're tall enough, big enough. You can see what a maritime island tree that's not a palm tree looks like and feels like. And there's tons of them. There's a maritime forest in there. And we are on the beach. And we are also on the ICW, which is the Intercoastal Waterway for you inlanders. I was too, 14 years ago. But we have access to, and there's also swampland. There's also a lake. There's tons of geographical environments, all in this one retreat center called Trinity. It's called the Trinity Retreat Center, and you'll have access to it all. Yeah, we even include free time, and we will have vendors, artists, book authors, energy medicine treatments, technological stuff, all that. That'll also be there to enjoy. Yeah.
Heidi asked again what the name of the book is. It's called Disease and Disorders from Theta Healing. I honestly can't remember what the availability is to the general public. I got it because I took the course. You can get like the beginning Theta Healing and advanced practitioners guides. They're available, I think, like on Amazon and on thetahealing.com. But there is a process to it.
Can you read? This is not backwards, correct?
Right. I'm just showing what it looks like. But it says disease and disorder. I know mine says backward.
Can you unmirror and give us a left?
Not right
flip?
now, not without messing up
cool.
something. But at least you get an idea. But it's Theta Healing, and if you go to the Theta Healing website, you'll see more about it. But there is a process, and I don't want anybody to just jump into disease and disorder, and because it takes.
There's more to it.
There's more to it than just being able to read the, and it's also got like definitions and, I mean, that'll give you all these different diseases and different potential, and then Theta Healing methodology. And then it'll give you this list of things that, potential downloads, but that's not all of them. So it's like examples, but yeah.
Go get your feet wet, but realize that you're just getting your feet wet.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the Heal the Healer, and then the other thing is to look at what's next week. We've got psychometry and attachments, and then the week after that, Katie Costa, the weather shaman, is going to be with us, and she's also going to be at our Heal the Healer weekend, so she'll be talking about her presentation for that weekend. And then we'll come back to our psychic readings that we do once a month. So psychometry and attachments. Yeah. Psychometry is feeling things and getting intuitive readings from the items.
From objects.
Yeah.
From pictures. From objects that belong to other people. Old stuff. Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about those
vapors.
energetic attachments. We're not reading that stuff plus the energetic attachments that come with it. And like when people talk about haunted items or cursed objects and stuff.
Yeah, haunted jewelry, stuff like that. Yeah. Harry Potter. Yeah, that was
Annabelle.
For sure.
That Raggedy Ann doll that the
Chucky is a famous haunted doll. Yeah. On and on.
Yeah, that was a fictional one.
Yes. So we'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Heidi says she's familiar with theta healing. So good. Okay. All right, folks. Well, we hope to see you next week. And thank you for being with us. And we'll see you next week. Same time, we hope. So thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for joining the Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod. Find us at facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo, on YouTube under @Iris Carter Enterprises, and on various podcast aggregators. Copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears.